Hello students, today we're going to be taking a look at context clues and then applying this skill to the power of the hero's journey. Let's begin by taking a look at our learning objective. Our learning objective is, after rereading and discussing a model of close reading, students will be able to use context as a clue to the meaning of words or a phrase. All right, let's go ahead and begin by going through the tabs. I would suggest taking a quick look at the concept definition video. It can help clarify this concept, but let's go through the introduction together. So there are 5 different types of context clues, and that's what this introduction discusses. Let's just begin reading it. When readers come across words they don't know, they often use context to determine the meanings of unfamiliar words. Context clues are hints in the surrounding text that a reader can use to infer the meaning of an unfamiliar word. To infer something means to make sort of an educated guess using the context that surrounds it. Some common types of context clues include the following. So here's our list of 5 different types. Number 1, definition. An explanation of the word's meaning before or after the word appears, usually set off by a comma. And we'll take a look at this type in a little bit, but it is sometimes common for an author to use a word that they know is not going to be that common for a lot of readers, and then they will offer a quick little definition, either before they say the word or right after they say the word. Second one, example. One or more examples in a text that may demonstrate the meaning of a word. The next one is comparison, determining a word's meaning based on how it is like something else in the text. And then the opposite of that would be contrast, determining a word's meaning based how it is unlike something else in the text. And then finally, cause and effect, the use of the word as a result of something else that happens in the text. So all of these different types of context clues can help you understand the meaning or the context of a word or a phrase. So in addition, sometimes just understanding the genre of the text and what it is about can also provide context for words. Readers can verify their preliminary, that means their early, definitions of words or phrases by using either a print or digital resource. They're just talking about either looking it up in a dictionary or using a Google search just to verify that you are correct. All right, let's go ahead and move over to the vocabulary. I would like you to do this vocabulary drag and drop because it talks once again about the 5 different types of context clues. So make sure that you do the drag and drop. Let's head over to the model page. The top half gives you a checklist for context clues, as well as some questions that you can ask yourself when you're trying to determine context's meaning of a word or a phrase. But let's go ahead and go through the skill model together. So let's take a look at a challenging word from the power of the hero's journey. The word that they're going to be looking at in paragraph 6 is the word deceitful. Now, many of you may already know what deceitful means, but for the sake of learning this skill, pretend that you don't. So the reader, the student who read the text, came across this passage in paragraph 6 of the essay. Usually deceitful, the guardian is not who he or she appears to be, but he or she often possesses wisdom our hero needs. And the student didn't know what the word deceitful means, so she made a little note on the side. What does deceitful mean? In this sentence, it's being used to describe the threshold guardian. This is from the threshold guardian section. The suffix full, F-U-L, shows that the word is an adjective, which describes the guardian. That was a pretty smart move there to try to identify the type of word that it is or the part of speech. And we know that when you have the suffix ful, full, then usually that means that it's a word that's going to describe something or someone, in which case that would be considered an adjective because adjectives describe nouns. All right, so the reader notices that deceitful is being used to describe guardian, which is the figure being discussed in this section. the reader uses the suffix full to determine the word's part of speech. So she looks at the sentence again, and this time she's looking for clues to the word's meaning, and she sees a description in her highlight that really helps her figure it out. So let's take a look at that. Once again, let's read it. Usually deceitful, so we know that this is a describing word of the guardian, is not who he or she appears to be. This section right here gives us a little bit of clue into the word's meaning. This is what the student wrote. The author says that the guardian is not who you might first think he or she is. So, deceitful must mean deliberately fooling someone. And then when I check a dictionary, I see that I'm right. So by looking at the context and seeing that there's a little bit of a definition being offered here, is not who he or she appears to be, tells us about what deceitful must mean. And that's how you use context clues to determine the meaning of a word or a phrase. Let's just finish off with this bottom part. The reader notes that the description of the guardian after the verb, not who she or he appears to be, helps to define deceitful. Therefore, the reader guesses that deceitful must mean deliberately fooling. This is her initial prediction of the word's meaning. The dictionary tells her that the word means deceiving or misleading others, so she sees that she's right. It's always best to use a dictionary to verify any preliminary determination of a word's meaning based on context. So pretty simple and straightforward, but the type of context clue that she found here is definition. See if you can apply this skill to the power of the hero's journey by looking at other types of context clues, such as comparison, contrast, or looking at cause and effect. But definition is definitely one of the more straightforward ones. All right, when you feel that you understand this skill, then go ahead and hop over to the Your Turn, where you're going to put this skill to practice on a couple of multiple choice questions, and you can check your own answers for results. The study sync will give you not only if you get it wrong, it will not only tell you that you got it wrong, but it will tell you why, and it will show you which one was correct. So you don't need to redo this if you don't get a great score. You just need to read through the answers and try to understand why you got it wrong to begin with. All right, that's about it. If you need help with anything, if you want to chat about this with me, if you're lost or confused about it, then please feel free to grab me.